Good afternoon. I'm Tom Hyatt, Chair of the Board of Governors, and on behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome you to the Newfields 135th annual meeting. I'd also like to thank each of you for your presence and for your contributions that each of you have made to this institution's growth and development. For 135 years, this organization has grown alongside the families and the communities we serve. Each of you make that possible. Your enthusiasm, your generosity, and your passion have helped bring Newfields' mission to life for the many members of the community that we strive to serve. Today, we celebrate the ways that we have together enriched our community. In a few moments, we will highlight the contributions of 3 life trustees, Dr. Kay Cook, Dorrit Paul, and Gerald Paul. Their remarkable commitments to this institution exemplify in many ways what has made Newfields one of the most important cultural institutions in our region, one which is gaining increasing national attention for our entrepreneurial spirit and our data-driven strategy. First, however, as this is the last opportunity I will have to address you as your chair, I'd like to speak to you openly and directly about this institution for which we all care so deeply. To put my comments in perspective, take my hand and step back with me through time to witness some of the pivotal moments in our history. It's 1883. Indianapolis is a small, dusty railroad town of 75,000 people. Its streets are largely unpaved. Situated on the edge of the young country's frontier. Peer through a window with me as we watch a group of determined women and a few men, led by the redoubtable May Wright Sewell, her hair piled atop her head, looking very regal, drafting the Articles of Incorporation for the Art Association of Indianapolis, and planning its first exhibition, a collection of borrowed paintings which will be displayed in a downtown hotel. Now it's 1906. Stand next to me in a big crowd at 16th and Talbot Streets as we wait to enter the first permanent home of the Art Association. Newly christened the John Herron Art Institute, a handsome limestone building made possible through the unexpected bequest from a first-generation English immigrant, John Herron. 50 years have passed. It's 1966. Join me as we raise our glasses to celebrate the news that the Institute, having outgrown its facilities on 16th Street, has received word that the members of the Lilly family have left its 52-acre estate to the Institute for its new home, to be named the Indianapolis Museum of Art. It's 1972. We have been working with the curator and the exhibition team in the newly constructed Clues Pavilion to prepare for the opening of an extraordinary collection of European artworks assembled by Dr. and Mrs. George Clues, including a painting later confirmed to be one of the earliest self-portraits of Rembrandt. And now it's last December. We are holding the hands of young children as they skip through the magical wonderland of winter lights on a campus recently christened Newfields, an event made possible by staff members, donors, and volunteers who contributed thousands of hours to create a new winter tradition for our community. Why this quick tour of a few of the many highlights of our institution's past? Because it gives us clarity about where we have come from. It also gives us insight into what makes us strong. And it gives us confidence that we can achieve remarkable things in the future. We have a good sense of where we've come from, as you've seen. Now let's take a minute and take stock of those attributes which make us strong. Were I asked, I would say that our strengths are the legacy and the extraordinary assets we inherited from our far-sighted predecessors. The experience and creativity of the remarkably talented people who work here at Newfields. Our shared commitment to excellence. Our sensitivity to the interests of the communities we serve. Our entrepreneurial can-do spirit. Our commitment to the careful stewardship of our resources. Our understanding that we must continually adapt to remain relevant. And our clear vision, which unites us together and propels us forward. During the past 5 years, working together under the guidance of Charles Venable and the talented team of colleagues he has assembled, this institution has made remarkable strides. First, board members, led by board member Matt Gutwein, and the leadership team, led by Katie Haig, our Chief Operating Officer, worked together to complete a long-range strategic plan and subsequently a comprehensive master plan for the development of our campus. Second, the curatorial and exhibition teams, under the direction of Preston Bautista, have organized a number of signature exhibitions, including exhibitions focusing on the works of Henri Matisse, Georgia O'Keeffe, Robert Indiana, and John James Audubon, as well as shows ranging from dream cars to the recent City is Canvas. Third, thanks to the leadership of our CFO, Jerry Wise, we have reduced our debt by $40 million. And we have in place a 10-year plan to repay it all. Fourth, we have significantly cut back our reliance on our endowment and significantly increased other forms of revenue. Fifth, thanks to the leadership of Deputy Director of Marketing Gary Stoppelman, as a result of exhaustive market research, we have a better understanding of our audience and its interests than ever before in the institution's history. Sixth, membership levels are at the highest they have been in the institution's history. Seventh, as a result of the efforts of the entire senior leadership team, and particularly those of Jonathan Wright, Ruth Lilly, Deputy Director of Horticulture, we have launched new signature events, spring blooms, orchids, and winter lights, to build and diversify our audiences. Eighth, the curatorial team is completing a comprehensive review of every piece of art in our collection, determining which of our 55,000 objects are most important to us and which are less so. Ninth, thanks to Kim Gattel, Deputy Director of Advancement, we have materially increased this institution's fundraising capabilities. And as a consequence, I am pleased to report that we have launched the silent phase of a major campaign to further strengthen Newfields' resources, and that campaign is off to a strong start. And finally, 10th, we have named the campus for the first time and articulated a common vision to enrich lives through exceptional experiences with art and nature. As I prepare to pass the baton of leadership, I want to thank Charles Venable for his outstanding leadership since his arrival at Newfields 5 years ago. In 2012, I was asked by the then board chair, Steve Russell, to assemble and lead a search committee. That committee of 12, several of whom are here today, included the then current and 5 former board chairs. And that group selected Charles and brought him and his husband, Martin Webb, to Indianapolis in 2013. In May 2014, I assumed board leadership from my distinguished predecessor, June McCormick. During the last 5 years, Charles and I have formed a strong and collaborative working relationship, as well as a great friendship. In my 4 decades of board service in the nonprofit and for-profit sectors, I can say with confidence that Charles is one of the most intelligent, capable, determined, and visionary leaders with whom I've had the pleasure of working. All of us who are engaged with Newfields are fortunate to be the beneficiaries of his focused leadership. And now, before I turn the podium over to our treasurer, Mike Kubacki, I would also like to thank several groups of leaders for their contributions to Newfields. Please hold your applause for just a moment until we have recognized the following individuals, who I will ask to stand once I've read everyone's names. First, I want to thank the governors who are rotating off the board this year and who have provided exceptional service to the institution. They are Gay Barclay, Ben Picard, Ursula Ozdemir, and Robin Nelson Rice. Next, we owe our gratitude to the individuals who have served as chairs of our committees, and their names are on the slide in front of you. Third, we want to thank all those individuals who have given their time and experience to serve as members of these committees, and you can see how fortunate we are to have so many individuals who have served the institution in this way. And finally, we want to thank the many individuals who have led our affinity groups this past year. So please stand, those of you whose names have appeared, and the rest of you help me thank everyone for their services and support. Now please join me in welcoming Mike Kubacki, Treasurer and Chair of Newfields Finance Committee, to the podium.
Thank you, Tom. I am happy to report that the current fiscal year has been one of much success. Over the past several years, we have focused on growing Newfields while becoming more financially sustainable. Our focus on growth can be seen in attendance at our extraordinary campus. General admission attendance, which accounts for about half of our annual visitors, has grown tremendously, from approximately 125,000 in 2017 to almost 200,000 in the current fiscal year. And we expect to welcome more than 215,000 general admission guests in the coming year, almost doubling general admission visitation over the course of 2 years. Overall, almost 400,000 people are expected to visit Newfields, including the museum, the garden, and the Virginia B. Fairbanks Art and Nature Park in the coming fiscal year. And as a result of engaging with more people in our community, earned revenue is forecast to grow from $3.6 million in fiscal year 2017 to almost $6.5 million in the coming fiscal year, an increase of $2.9 million. This is a result of us providing programs that engage a broader audience, attract more members, and encourage people to stay on campus to enjoy our new culinary offerings, such as signature drinks at our beer garden. Newfields has achieved these goals even as the investment markets have shown some restraint in recent years. Our endowment portfolio earned 6.9% in 2016 after experiencing virtually no gain in calendar year 2015 as markets continued to be choppy. However, in 2017, a strong market resulted in a 13.3% return on the assets in our endowment, and our endowment ended the year with a balance of approximately $335 million. We have taken the opportunity afforded to us by our recent strong financial performance to continue to pay down Newfields' outstanding debt, as Tom has alluded to. Whereas just a few years ago, Newfields had more than $120 million of debt, $55 million of interest rate swaps, and millions of dollars in unfunded pension liabilities. Today, Newfields has less than $80 million of debt, no outstanding swaps, and no unfunded pension liabilities. Nothing is more emblematic of the progress that we have made as an institution than the launch of our Winter Lights program this past November. Along with our orchids exhibition and our spring display of 250,000 blooming bulbs, Winter Lights has helped with the recognition of the garden at Newfields as one of the great gardens in the Midwest. Over 70,000 guests attended our Winter Lights program in its first year, twice as many as we had originally forecast. Enjoying hot chocolate and apple cider, both the adult and the all ages varieties, Winter Lights proved to be a great success with our public, and generated over $1 million of total revenue. Beyond the financial metrics, we were able to further strengthen our community relationships as well. We partnered with multiple local institutions, including the Martin Luther King Center and Eskenazi Health Centers, to distribute over 1,000 free tickets to Indianapolis families who can least afford coming to Newfields. We also partnered with Girl Scout troops from Central Indiana to sell s'mores kits to enjoy at Winter Lights. The profits that the Girl Scouts earned helped fund hundreds of scholarships for low-income girls to attend Girl Scout camps throughout the year. However, perhaps the most telling statistic of how Newfields and Winter Lights has become part of our guests' lives is that 45 couples chose to get engaged at Newfields during the event. We are hopeful that we can continue to engage the public with exceptional programming in both art and nature in the coming fiscal year and grow the impact of art and nature in the lives of the residents of our community. I am proud to report that the Board of Trustees has adopted the fiscal year 2019 budget that would result in a 5.35% draw on the endowment while continuing to provide an exciting lineup of exhibitions and growing our burgeoning garden programming. We have also reviewed a fiscal year 2020 budget that would further reduce the draw on the endowment to 5.07%, following through on our commitment to continued financial stability. Our focus on increasing earned revenue and continued restraint in operating expenses are the driving forces behind the improved financials at Newfields. This new budget helps to ensure Newfields' ability to provide exceptional art and nature experiences to residents of Central Indiana and visitors alike, and puts us ahead of our 10-year goal to reduce our endowment draw to below 4.5%. So thank you, all of you, for your continued support of Newfields. Now, please welcome the Secretary of the Board, Ursal Ozdemir, to give the report of the nominating committee.
Thank you, Mike. I lost my voice last night, so I'm going to do my best. Hopefully with my accent, you'll understand 50% what I'm saying, so I'll be very fast. Just nod. Again, thank you, Mike. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our Chair, Mary Rose, and the members of the 2017 and 18 members, nominating members and governance committee members for all their hard work and their commitment to Newfields. See the names on the screen: Katie Bentley, Matt Goodwine, Tom Hyatt, Mary Rose, Ian Rupert, Gary Shockett, and Dan Yates. Thank you. Our first order of business is to nominate the following governors whose terms of office expire at today's meeting to succeed themselves for a 3-year term to expire at the annual meeting of the corporation in May 2021. They are David Barrett, Suzanne McAllister, Shirley Mueller, Dorrit Paul, Maria Rose, Ian Rupert, Rachel Simon, Daniel Skowronski. The nominating committee also nominates the following individuals to be elected as governors of Newfields for 3-year terms to expire at the annual meeting in May 2021. Gary Hirschberg and Tina Pasquinelli. Gary Hirschberg has been involved with Newfields since 2012, and he is a current member of the Development Committee. Gary is a resident of Chicago with a passion for art of the Hudson River School. He's also a member of the Chairman's Circle. Gary is a vice president at Goldman Sachs and Company and serves as a trusted advisor for selected group of families and institutions in all aspects of wealth management. He's been covering Indiana for the firm for over a decade. Tina Pasquinelli has been involved with Newfields since 1998. Since 2016, she has served on the marketing committee. Tina's love of for fashion, art, and textiles led her to become an active supporter of the Fashion Arts Society, and she has served as their treasurer and the co-chair for the annual fundraiser Hats Off. She's also a member of the President's Circle, Beyond the Arts, serving on the Damien Center Board of Directors for several years, fulfill her desire to give back to her community. A real estate professional, Tina has used her entrepreneurial spirit to develop condominium communities and homes in the greater Indianapolis area. Currently, her specialty is downtown Indianapolis, where her company, Golden Ratio Homes, is developing custom homes for families. Her commitment to the local business community has led her to serve on the Builders Association of Greater Indianapolis Board of Directors and the Management Committee of the Building Partners of Central Indiana. I move that the nominees for re-election as governors for a 3-year term to expire at the annual meeting in 2021 be re-elected. And I move that aforementioned nominees to vacancies on the Board of Governors be elected for 3-year terms to expire at the annual meeting in 2021. Please note that only members of the Board of Governors and the Life Trustees are eligible to vote. For the purpose of recording, please identify yourself when seconding. May I have a second, please? Thank you, Michael Maki, appreciate it. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All those against, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you, that was easy, appreciate that. Motion carried. At this time, I invite re-elected governors and newly elected governors to stand and be recognized. Per the bylaws of the corporation, the Board of Governors elects the officers of the corporation to a 2-year term that expires at the annual meeting in May 2020. The following slate has been proposed. Chair, Katie Bentley. First Vice Chair, David Barrett. Secretary, Dorian Christian. Treasurer and Vice Chair, Michael Kubaki. I move that the slate of officers as presented be elected. Please note that only members of the Board of Governors are eligible to vote. For the purpose of recording, please identify yourself when seconding. May I have a second, please? Thank you, Tom. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All those against, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you. Now, it's my honor. Please welcome to the podium our incoming chair, Katie Bentley.
Thank you, Ursula, and thank all of you. My husband and Lynn and I Have been involved with the IMA at Newfields for many years, and I've served on the Board of Governors for 5 years. He and I love art, love nature, and love our community, and this great institution has allowed us to indulge in all these 3 passions. For the past 4 years, Newfields has been fortunate to have the unselfish, dedicated, and very competent leadership of Tom Hyatt. Thanks to him and to those who served before, I'm stepping into the role of chairwoman at a time when this dynamic organization has tremendous opportunity. I, and indeed the entire Board of Governors, remain committed to building our momentum as we enter year 4 of our 10-year strategic plan. You've heard tonight about how more Hoosiers and a more diverse group of Hoosiers are now engaged with our mission. Our plan calls for permanently doubling attendance by 2020. You've heard about the generosity of this community has powered the innovative programming that attracts new audiences. Our plan calls for doubling unrestricted philanthropy giving by 2020, and we are well on our way. The selfless generosity and deep engagement of the people in this room is what makes this opportunity so exciting. Our community donated over 50,000 volunteer hours last year, and we are on pace to shatter that record this year. Thank you for all you do for Newfields. I couldn't be more honored or proud to be your chairwoman today. Now, Tom, will you join me at the podium? Tom and I are thrilled today to inaugurate a new tradition. This meeting is the most important annual gathering in the Newfields community.
During these meetings, we take stock in all that we've achieved, and we share a glimpse into our plans for the future. None of that would be possible without the efforts of the passionate donors who have built an oasis at the heart of our city. Therefore, the board has decided that the annual meeting is the right time each year for us to recognize and celebrate our Distinguished Service honorees. The Distinguished Service Award recognizes exemplary leadership, support, and service. The first of this year's award goes to Dorrit and Gerald Paul. Dorrit and Gerald have been involved with the IMA for more than 5 decades. They are members of the Indiana Circle of the Founders Society, which recognizes donors whose giving exceeds $1 million cumulatively. They are also members of the Chairman's Circle, donors who give $10,000 or more annually. And they are members of the Legacy Club, donors who have made a gift through their estate to benefit Newfields. Dorrit currently serves on our Board of Governors. She's Vice Chair of the Collections Committee and a member of the Building and Grounds Committee. Gerald is a former board member as well and previously served on the museum's Development Committee as well as Chair of the Marketing Committee. This year, Dorrit celebrates her 50th year as a docent. She is also a founding supporter of the Alliance Family Education Fund and the Asian Art Society. Her leadership roles include tenures as president of both the Asian Art Society and the Contemporary Art Society. Dorrit and Gerald are currently members of the Contemporary Art Society, the Design Arts Society, and the Fashion Arts Society. They are also avid collectors of contemporary art and recently donated several pieces to Newfields, including a beautiful work by Dubuffet. Their cumulative giving includes a substantial donation during the last campaign, which established the Gerald and Dorrit Paul Fashion Art and Textiles Galleries, currently home to the Best Bin exhibition and the location of next year's cutting-edge exhibition on Japanese textiles. Dorrit and Gerald have demonstrated their love of art, their devotion to art education, and their affection for this institution over the course of their lives. They exemplify the qualities I mentioned earlier, which define this institution and make it strong. So please join me in thanking and recognizing Dorrit and Gerald for their extraordinary service.
Gerald and I are truly both honored and touched that we have gotten this award. When you saw the earlier montage, you saw on the left hand what I enjoyed doing most, which is being a docent and giving tours, both to children and to adults. And after 50 years of being a docent, it was prenatal, you understand. I think I'm the oldest and most longeviest, which is a new word, docent standing. And I've always, as I said at the docent meeting, it is better to give than to receive. However, I feel both Gerald and certainly myself have received more than what we have given from the museum. It has enriched our lives. It has broadened our horizons. I think it has gotten our children involved in the arts. I'm pleased that our daughter Eloise is here. And so I thank you. As I'm a docent, so normally I speak 45 to 50 minutes, but in the interest of the cocktail hour, and also to my co-recipient, I thank you all, and I will be very brief.
Congratulations, Dorrit and Gerald, and thank you for your truly exceptional service. And Dorrit is going to be continuing to donate to the museum in terms of her time and effort, and we're delighted that she will be continuing on the Board of Directors of Governors and serving on the Collections Committee. Our next Distinguished Service Award recipient is Dr. Kay Cook. The impact of Kay's service can be felt across the entire campus and across a quarter century of support. In financial terms, her contributions are very significant, but her impact on this organization cannot be measured by dollars alone. To witness the power of what Kay means to Newfields, I invite you to stop by the June M. McCormick Forefront Galleries on the 4th floor. I've been there. I ask you to go. I think you'll be impressed. There you can explore an exquisite exhibition which highlights the recent gifts from Kay's collection alongside those from Joan and Walter Wolfe, two of the largest gifts of contemporary art ever given to the IMA. Her gift ensures that works by artists like Andy Warhol, Judy Paff, and this beautiful Tom Wesselman will be available to future generations of Hoosiers. In addition to gifts of art from her own collection, Kay's support of the Contemporary Art Purchase Fund resulted in the recent acquisition of an important work by Michelle Graebner entitled, as well as other works such as Tom Hawkinson's Mobius Ship and Aziz and Kucher's Man with Computer. She is also a lead donor to the Design Gallery and one of the founders of the Conservation Science Fund. A life trustee and a member of the Halston Circle of Founders Society, Kay is a powerful champion of the campus-wide program. She recently underwrote the outdoor infrastructure that makes winter lights and other outdoor exhibitions possible. Kay's support also made possible the recent publication of Newfields, A Place for Nature and Art, which tells the history of Newfields. As a longtime docent, Kay brought the story of the IMA's collection to life for thousands of students. She has generously supported exhibitions like the recent Gustav Bowman show. Like the Pauls, Kay will shape the cultural life of future generations by committing a gift through her estate. She is a member of the Alliance, the Asian Art Society, the Contemporary Art Society, the Design Art Society, and the Fashion Art Society, and the Horticulture Society. She's very busy. She serves as a current member of the Board of Governors and the Collections Committee, where she is past chair. Formerly, she served on the Finance Committee and was chair of the Nominating Committee. It is because of the passion and dedication of supporters like Kay that we have so much to support. And may I say that Kay not only has done this, she's done it very, very quietly and with much humility. She's someone that we could all emulate with pride. Please join me in a round of applause as we recognize her tremendous service to this institution. Kay?
Well, I am indeed honored to receive this award, and particularly pleased to get it the same year that my good friend Dorrit and her husband Paul, Gerald, received that award also. Dorrit, over her many years, has been a great example for all of the docents who have provided tours for the guests of the museum. I also want to say that when my husband passed away, that's Brian Malloy, in case you wonder what the mystery is about the dedication. When he passed away is when I really turned my life towards the IMA, and that was one of the institutions that really helped me form a new life in Indianapolis. And we collected most of this art that was gifted over a period of 2 years, and when he unfortunately then passed away. But we had almost run out of wall space anyway. So again, I want to thank you all for giving me this recognition, and wish the institution continued growth and respect in the art world.
Thank you so much.
Again, congratulations, Kay. This is truly a well-deserved honor for you. Now I would like to welcome our director, Charles Venable, to the stage.
Thank you, Tom and Katie, and thank you, Dorrit, Gerald, and Kay, for your truly exceptional service to this wonderful institution. It is committed leaders like you who have, for 135 years, ensured that this community has a dynamic art museum, a place to be inspired by the greatest artists from across the world and through time. A beautifully cultivated garden in the center of our city, a theater in which to explore the ideas of our time, a home for telling stories about our shared history, an urban oasis to strengthen our connection with nature, or a place to sit and break bread together, a place unlike any other in the Midwest. Before we head upstairs and celebrate the opening of the exhibition Summer Wonderland, Spectacular Creatures, I'd like to offer you a preview of our programming for the rest of the year. This fall, we will open Sensual, Sexual, Social, the photography of George Platt Lyons in the Allen Whitehill Clues Special Exhibition Gallery. This important exhibition is a collaboration between the Kinsey Institute at IU and the IMA. Lyons was a celebrated photographer of fashion and fashionable personalities in the mid-20th century. However, his most influential and important work, his groundbreaking studies of the male nude, were saved because of the extraordinary efforts of Lyons and Indiana University's Alfred Kinsey. As a gay man working in an era that was highly oppressive to the LGBT community, Lyons' nudes, which influenced the likes of Richard Avedon, Herb Ritts, and Irving Penn, were considered taboo and even illegal. Were it not for the efforts of Alfred Kinsey and IU, this important body of work could have been lost forever. This timely exhibition explores the life of an artist who was marginalized by society for being gay and places him where he should be, at the forefront of the history of photography, alongside his more famous peers. We at Newfields are passionately driven by efforts like this to add context and depth to the world we live in. Whether developing new exhibitions or strategically addressing the ways we interpret and display our magnificent collection, curators at the IMA are, gallery by gallery, exploring new stories and methods of storytelling that will be more inclusive of our diverse communities and help define the museum of the future. The first to be addressed is the newly expanded and refreshed Design Gallery. Please join Shelley Salem, our Associate Curator of Design and Decorative Arts, on July 27th, when she unveils her new installation in the largest museum collection gallery devoted to modern and contemporary design in the nation. Shelley's efforts will offer fresh insights into the design process and include a new 800 square foot design lab where guests can design their own prototypes, sit on furniture by leading designers like Alessandro Mendini and Philippe Starck, and try an immersive virtual reality 3D tour of Newfields' famed Miller House and Garden in Columbus. Here in the Toby, I'm pleased to share that we have a new multi-year partnership with Heartland Film. In addition to programming, the partnership has made possible the larger cinema screen, surround sound speakers, and the new projection equipment that we're using tonight. Moving into the galleries, I shared with you at last year's annual meeting that the Clues Fund and the Allen Whitehill Clues Charitable Foundation have generously granted the IMA $3 million to completely renovate the 1971 Clues Pavilion. That 4-year project kicks off this summer. Leading the effort is Dr. Annette Schlagenhoff, an IMA curator since 2003, who was recently promoted to Curator of European Art. Collaborating with her is Shel Wagenstein, our new Assistant Curator of European Art, who joined us recently from the Morgan Museum and Library in New York, following stints at the Met, the Getty, and the National Gallery. His position is also generously underwritten by the Allen Whitehill Clues Charitable Foundation. Following an expanded presentation of Winter Lights late this year, curators, horticulturalists, educators, and culinary art staff or collaborating on a year-long festival of Japanese art and culture in a way that can only be done here at Newfields. A very special iteration of our annual orchid exhibition kicks off the festivities next February and will feature the rare Fukuran orchid cultivated by samurai and the Japanese nobility. In the spring, we will honor the innovative Japanese fashion designers of the 1980s, like Issey Miyake and Rei Kawakubo, who revolutionized fashion as we know it today. This exhibition will be curated by our own Nilu Pedar. Summer will also include 2 terrific exhibitions of the weapons and art of the samurai in our galleries. Speaking of things that can only happen at Newfields and only be achieved thanks to supporters like you, next summer's display in the garden will showcase the work of our Director of Horticulture, Chad Trainer. Chad was selected by the Art Council of Indianapolis as a 2018 Creative Renewal Arts Fellow. This is the first time in history that the fellowship has gone to a horticulturalist. By honoring Chad, the Arts Council said it was recognizing horticulture as a true art form. The fellowship will support Chad's travel to Japan this fall to study iconic Japanese garden design. The centerpiece of this Year of Japan is a magnificent exhibition curated by IMA curator John Teramoto. 700 years of Japanese painting at the IMA spotlights our rich collection of Edo period paintings, one of the very best such collections outside of Japan. Throughout the year, our culinary arts team will integrate unforgettable dining experiences like a pop-up tea shop and noodle shop inside the museum. Can't wait for that. This year-long celebration is the perfect expression of the power and the promise of Newfields, a place for both nature and the arts. While doing all of these things, we're continuing to enhance our permanent gallery spaces, keeping them fresh for our guests with new acquisitions going on display for the very first time. During the past year, we have acquired a wide range of art from across the globe. The oldest and one of the most exceptional is a Maya cacao vase that will shortly make its debut in the exhibition Director's Choice New Acquisitions 2018. This splendid vessel was used by the Mayan nobility for drinking chocolate. Dates from between 600 and 900 AD and is the generous gift of Michael and Patricia McCrory. Currently on view on the 4th floor are 2 extraordinary paintings recently given by Drs. Michael Robertson and Christopher Slapback, including this wonderful work by Carl Worsom. Worsom was one of the youngest and earliest members of a group of pioneering artists in Chicago during the 1960s known as Chicago Imagerists. In addition, Michael and Christopher have recently promised their extensive collection as a planned gift. Their generosity will immediately position the IMA as one of the world's most important collection of this influential art movement. Preserving works of art entrusted to our care is also a very high priority for us. Earlier this month, we debuted this oratory commode that you see on the screen, probably the finest piece of Portuguese furniture in the United States. Since we acquired the commode in 2015, our conservation team has worked tirelessly to clean its surface of hundreds of years of candle soot and abrasion caused by the veneration of the holy figures since they were carved in the 1770s. I am truly proud of the work that they have done on this magnificent object and extremely pleased that this is now something that everybody can see in our European galleries. Along with acquiring and conserving works of art, part of our mission is to also share them with other institutions and audiences around the world. This past year, we participated in many great exhibitions through loans, including Modigliani's great masterpiece, The Boy, from 1919, which was highlighted this winter in the Tate Modern's major retrospective of the artist. The Financial Times called this exhibition the sexiest show in town. As you all know, it is the thoughtful work of passionate staff members that make all this possible. I would like to take a moment to recognize Marty Krause, our curator. Marty, our curator emeritus of prints, drawing, and photographs, who retired this past winter after 40 years of service to this institution. During his tenure, Marty helped to build our collection through the acquisition of over 15,000 works on paper, including pieces by Albrecht Dürer, Max Beckmann, Jacob Lawrence, Blanche Lazelle, and Gustav Baumann, to name only a few. He mounted 105 exhibitions, including Turner in Manchester and Indianapolis, Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and Art in Its Making, The Passage, Return of Indiana Artists from Munich, 1880 to 1905, The Essential Robert Indiana, and most recently, Gustav Baumann. Please join me in thanking Marty once again for his exceptional service to IMA. As we have said several times tonight, Newfields is a place unlike anywhere else in Indiana, not because of the generosity of one donor or foresight of one collector, or because of the collective efforts of an entire community over many years. That is what's made this a fabulous institution. However, in closing, there are two individuals, an artist and a donor, whose foresight and vision I would like to celebrate tonight. The artist, of course, is Robert Indiana, who passed away last week at age 89. An international pop icon, Robert Indiana, or as Marty would have called him, Bob, influenced generations of artists, including people like Jenny Holzer, Christopher Wool, and Barbara Kruger. His legacy transcends the art world and has had global impact. At the IMA, we have one of the great collections of this Newcastle-born artist's work. His beloved and newly restored masterpiece, the original Love Sculpture, continues to welcome generations of Hoosiers to the heart of the IMA and forever reminds us to keep the very best of humanity in our own hearts. Like Robert Indiana, the donor I want to recognize has also greatly impacted this wonderful institution. Tom Hyatt's tenure as chairman of the board will be viewed, in my humble opinion, as a watershed moment in the long history of this institution. Let us take a moment to pause and consider all that he has shepherded in his 4 years as chairman. Simply put, Tom's legacy can be summed up as leadership by example. Tom does not sit on the sidelines. He sets an example for all of us when it comes to leadership in our community, as well as a data-driven fiduciary responsibility. He and his wife, Nora, set an example for us by their innovative and generous philanthropy that supports growth areas in many divisions of this institution. Tom leads by example by rolling up his sleeves and working side by side with staff to make real what he helped us envision. We spent tonight talking about growing diverse audiences new acquisitions, and innovative programs. That is only possible because of the physical discipline of the board under Tom's leadership. For the first time, we have a 10-year plan to pay off all of our bond debt. We have balanced our budget each and every year since 2013. As Tom described earlier, our spend rate is now in line with best practices at about 5% of the endowment's annual interest. And we have a plan through continued growth in attendance, membership, and philanthropy to further reduce that rate to 4.5% by 2022. We all are aware, I think, of the lessons that Tom has brought to this organization from the private sector. But did you know that Tom is an alumnus of the Masters of Arts program in Philanthropic Studies at the Lilly School of Philanthropy at IU? His studies at the Lilly School helped him to sensitively lead this nonprofit organization as we built an exceptional advancement department. Tom has championed a board where the dramatic is achievable because it is rooted not only in passion and service, but also in careful research and study. The board, under Tom's leadership, launched 8 studies that culminated in the 30-year master land use plan that David Rubin shared at last year's annual meeting. That master plan, with the generous support of everyone in this room and beyond, is our roadmap for the future and a very powerful symbol of Tom's legacy. Through his example and his gentle but relentlessly persuasive style, Tom helped recruit a generation of new leaders to our board, like Tina Pasquinelli and Gary Hirschberg, that will ensure this organization's continue to thrive for those who follow. Outside the boardroom, Tom and Nora's generous philanthropic support is exemplary, not only because of the cumulative amount, but also because of what he and Nora have chosen to fund. They were among the first board members to increase their annual giving beyond the established expectations, inspiring others to follow. Tom is the kind of leader who supports innovation with his philanthropy. For example, Tom and Nora's support for our first exhibition in the garden, Spring Blooms last year, transformed an asphalt parking lot into Alice's Garden, named in honor of Nora's late mother. Inside, they were among the original supporters of the design galleries that we will celebrate this summer and generously made possible the recent acquisition of Sonia Delaney's beautiful painting, Rhythm Couleur, from Kirk McKinney's estate. And that painting is on view, and you'll be able to see it during cocktails tonight. Today, Tom and Nora are setting the bar as philanthropic leaders by providing a generous lead gift to the campaign he described briefly earlier, while simultaneously sharing the gift of service as campaign co-chairs. Tom, would you please come to the podium on behalf of the board, our staff, our members, our community, and me personally? Please accept this small token.
Well, I would just echo what Dorrit Paul said, which is that I've received much more through my service and through Nora's and my involvement with the IMA than I feel I've given. It's truly been a pleasure to serve as your chair, and I wish you all the best and certainly will continue to stay involved. Thank you.
The the risk of spoiling the surprise, if you're wondering what the small token of our appreciation is, it's a beautiful pair of silver Tiffany cufflinks designed by Elsa Peretti, their famous jewelry designer. It is a good gift. Now please join me upstairs in the Pulliam Family Great Hall. Let's celebrate together this historic year and toast the rising tide of momentum that truly is sweeping across Newfields, inside and out, as we continue to build this cultural campus for the future. Together, let's celebrate the opening of Summer Wonderland, of which we have a delegate here in the audience, as I recall. For this art installation, we joined forces with the mischievous Italian art collective called Cracking Art, who use adorable, brightly colored animals to raise consciousness about key environmental issues of our time, like global warming and the impact of burning fossil fuels. This exhibition furthers our quest to integrate art and nature as only Newfields can do. And let's do it this evening in Newfields style, with a glass of something cool at a family picnic up in Pulliam Great Hall. However, since the weather seems to be moderating a little bit, if you would like to see the other half of the show that's not inside the building but in the middle of the gardens here at Newfields, that you will be able to do that as well. So please join me upstairs and do, on behalf of the board and myself, take our greatest depth of gratitude for your continued support of this extraordinary institution. Thank you.